years ago, I found myself in a relationship that caused me a lot of pain. I couldn't understand why I stayed, but I did. I thought I should just be grateful to have someone. I believe the whole half a loaf is better than none nonsense. And it didn't hit me at the time that I had a low self esteem. Looking back, I can see how my upbringing played a part. My dad was a pastor, but our relationship was very controlling. So when I got into relationships, I didn't know what love was supposed to look like. I ended up with people who weren't good for me because that was all I knew. There's a lot of talk about, when you choose someone or when a woman chooses someone, she usually chooses someone that reminds her of her father because that's the only yardstick you have to follow. It wasn't until years later, after learning and growing, that I realized something important. I allowed people to treat me less than I deserved. That was a hard pill to swallow, but once I accepted it, I started to change. My self esteem grew, and I decided I wasn't going to take nonsense from anyone, especially in romantic relationships. So, hello to everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, this is where we dive into the dramas playing out on social media, share some motivation, and much more. Today, I'm doing this video because of the toxic relationship we've all seen playing out online. Some of you might be going through similar circumstances, and I want you to know you're not alone. You heard the beginning of my story in this video. I'll be sharing more about it further on. So stick around as we continue this conversation, and hopefully it will help you recognize your worth and help you to break free from anything that may be holding you back. So to my new subscribers, you're welcome here, and thank you for my day one supporters. I appreciate every single one of you for being a part of this journey. Your support means the world to me, and I'm grateful to have you here. So let's keep growing together. There's been a lot of relationship drama playing out on social media lately, and it's hard not to notice. It's got me thinking about how many of us might be dealing with similar situations behind closed doors. So today I want to talk about this generally because I believe it's something that affects many of us. Whether it's a toxic relationship, betrayal, or just feeling stuck, it comes down to one important thing: knowing and finding your worth. So the question I want to ask you today is, are you in a trauma bond and don't realize it? Let's talk about it because it's something I went through, and maybe you're going through it too. Many years ago, I found myself in a relationship that caused me a lot of pain. I couldn't understand why I stayed, but I did. I thought I should just be grateful to have someone. I believe the whole half a loaf is better than none nonsense. And it didn't hit me at the time that I had a low self-esteem. Looking back, I can see how my upbringing played a part. My dad was a pastor, but our relationship was very controlling. So when I got into relationships, I didn't know what love was supposed to look like. I ended up with people who weren't good for me because that was all I knew. There's a lot of talk about, when you choose someone or when a woman chooses someone, she usually chooses someone that reminds her of her father because that's the only yardstick you have to follow. It wasn't until years later, after learning and growing, that I realized something important. I allowed people to treat me less than I deserved. That was a hard pill to swallow, but once I accepted it, I started to change. My self-esteem grew, and I decided I wasn't going to take nonsense from anyone, especially in romantic relationships. The fear of being alone kept me stuck. It disappeared once I understood that being alone is better than being in an abusive relationship. We see it all the time on social media, people's private lives playing out in front of everyone, and we question why they behave the way they do. But often there's something deeper going on. Many times they don't know their worth. When your self-esteem is low, you settle for less than you deserve, thinking it's the best you can get. And that is why I want to have this conversation with you today. And as I asked at the beginning, are you in a trauma bond and don't even know it? How is your self-esteem? Are you settling for less? A trauma bond happens when you are stuck in a cycle of abuse. It's confusing because the person who hurts you also shows you kindness sometimes, and that makes it hard to leave. You feel loyal to them even though they're hurting you. It's a painful cycle. And low self-esteem plays a big part of why people stay in these bonds. When you don't value yourself, it's easy to believe that you deserve the bad treatment, or you do not even recognize that this is the bad treatment. You think this is the norm, or that you won't find anything better. But here's the truth, you do deserve better. Knowing your worth is the key to breaking free. Once I started to understand my worth, everything changed. I learned to set new boundaries, to say no to people who didn't treat me right, and to surround myself with those who uplifted me. And I want that for you too. And this is why I'm having that conversation today. I just want to say, I get how hard it can be to break free from something like this. Sometimes you may have children involved and your partner is treating you poorly. You don't know how you're going to manage financially, so you stay in a relationship despite the fact that you're not happy. When you're in a trauma bond, it's not just about walking away. It's about untangling yourself from the emotional mess that's been created. It's tough because there's back and forth. 1 minute seems okay, and then the next minute you're in pain again. It's exhausting. But my advice to you today, if find yourself in such a situation, when you're breaking free, when you try breaking free, you'll probably face some serious challenges. You might doubt yourself, wondering if leaving is the right thing, or even feeling guilty. That is all part of the process, but I'm here to remind you that your peace is worth more than staying in something that's breaking you. Another thing that can hold you back is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of going out there by yourself. But it's all possible. Sometimes the things we fear are the very things that we should face so we can get over the fear. If you want to analyze your relationship and find out what kind of relationship you're in, watch out for those moments when the cycle of abuse tries to pull you back in. You know, those times when the person suddenly shows you kindness or promises to change. It's a trap that can keep someone hooked. Be aware of how guilt and manipulation can play a role too. They might make you feel like it's your fault or you owe them something. And I often talk about Crissy might find herself in a situation like this. She may feel obligated, which does not give anyone the excuse to choose a man over their own child. But as you know, as I said, they might try to make you feel like it's your fault or that you owe them something. But you don't. You owe yourself to be happy and healthy. Another thing is to keep an eye on the fear of being alone. Trust me, I've been there. That fear can make you stay longer than you should. But when I finally embraced being alone, I realized how freeing it was. I could focus on me, rebuild my confidence, and set new standards for my life. I want to remind you to be careful about who you listen to. Not everyone will understand why you need to leave, especially if the relationships look fine from the outside. Stick to people who support and uplift you. And if you find yourself going through an abusive relationship and you're thinking about leaving, despite the fact that there's a lot of pain in the relationship, you will also find that you will go through a lot of pain because the relationship that you thought was going to come into something has broken down. Healing takes time. You don't have to figure it out overnight. Take small steps, set boundaries, and start prioritizing your well-being. The more you focus on yourself, the clearer things will become. You're stronger than you think, and once you step out of the chaos, you will see that. It's about finding your strength, trusting your instinct, and knowing you deserve better. I hope this conversation has given you some clarity and encouragement if you are stuck in a cycle of pain and confusion. Remember, recognizing a trauma bond is the first step towards breaking free and reclaiming your happiness. You're worthy of love, respect, and peace, and it's never too late to choose yourself. If this message resonates with you, take it as a sign to start making changes. Trust your instincts, lean on those who truly support you, and know that healing is possible. So thank you for spending time with me today. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and remember your worth. Until next time, take care. One love.